What's up, everyone? We are going to go live in just a minute here, so thanks for jumping on. We're going to talk all kinds of fun stuff, maybe California. Not maybe. We'll talk about California. We'll talk about stuff going on here. We'll see how your Saturday is going on this Mother's Day weekend, so we'll be going live in just a quick minute here, maybe even before the countdown stops. So thanks for being here. Hang tight. We're going to go live in just a sec. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Thanks again for being here. Appreciate you being on. We're going to talk California. We're going to talk a whole bunch of other stuff happening around the state, maybe around the world. Maybe we'll talk whatever you guys want to talk about here on this beautiful Saturday morning. Thanks for joining me here, guys. Just another minute, and we are going to go ahead and rock and roll. Thank you guys for being on. Make sure you throw your comments in the chat box. That's where we'll be. I'm going to put one in there right now for you, and that's where we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you for being on. Give me a big thumbs up here, guys. We got a lot of people jumping on right now. The more likes we get, the more YouTube will throw this out to everyone in the YouTube community. So do me a favor and throw that in. I just clicked on it, and then it said I was in there. So thank you, guys. Here we go. We're just about to get started on the live. So I'm just throwing a little comment in there. We're going to pin that there for you. There we go. So 30 seconds left. Thank you guys for being on today. Really appreciate you guys. Good morning. Good morning. Mother's Day weekend here. So here we go. Seven seconds. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here we go. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Good morning on Mother's Day weekend. Thanks for all the love. Thanks for all the thumbs up there, guys. Thank you for being on. If you're new to the channel, if you're first time here, my name is Danny Batsalkin. You can call me Dima, which is my real name. And welcome to the channel. Welcome to another live broadcast here, and I think the title of this one, is, what is it? The End of California, something like that, right? Let's see what it's called. Yes, The End of California. So why is it the end of California? I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But first, how you guys doing? Thanks for being on. Say hello to me there in the chat box if you're on. I see you guys all on. So we got Heather Cliff, who says, DB for governor. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'll give you some applause for that. There's the applause. So I will tell you, I've thought about it. I'll talk about that for a second. I've thought about it. I even have my patriotic shirt on here. I've been giving it a lot of thought. I've been contemplating that for a while. I've talked about it on the channel for sure. And I will tell you, this is going to be a circus. I just did a video on the recall. We could definitely chat about the recall for just a little bit. If you have questions on the recall, the process, what's going to happen, who's running, throw it into the chat box. We can talk about that. We're talking all things California this morning. By the way, grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your water, whatever it is you're drinking. I said grab your coffee, and I pointed to this. Whatever it is you're drinking this morning, and we can chat all things California. So thanks for being here, guys. Throw those comments in the chat box. Throw the questions in the chat box. We're starting out with the recall since Heather Cliff said DB for governor. Let's talk about it. So I've done a couple videos. I've done a lot of videos on the recall. It's happening, looks like, later this year, unless a lot of people recant their signatures, which I don't think will happen. And so it's going to happen like in November, and it is going to be a circus. So many people already running for governor and have already announced it. So, first on the list, I think maybe biggest name so far, I guess, Caitlyn Jenner. She was interviewed on Fox and all kinds of places. Kind of a centrist candidate right now, appealing to that middle that doesn't like Gavin. Well, I don't think anyone likes Gavin. Does anyone like Gavin? Anyone like Gavin out there? If you like Gavin, throw it in the chat. I don't think you'd be watching this if you like Gavin. So Caitlyn Jenner, we got the Beast, John Cox. So John Cox actually rebranded himself the Beast. He is a businessman in California who lost to Gavin Newsom last time in the last election by a lot. And he got crushed. And the thing with John Cox that's interesting, guys, he's not the biggest personality, he's not the biggest name. I think he must have hired a PR firm to do this rebranding with the Beast, and he had a bear at his event. But guys, here's the interesting part, right? Like when people run for office, it ends up being a popularity contest, or maybe in Gavin Newsom's case, a beauty contest of who can support him, how many unions, how many local places can do that. But anyway, but the idea is, the state is really like a business. California, I believe, 5th largest economy in the world, and so it really is like a big business. And so, I don't know about you, but like I would want the governor to be someone who has succeeded in business. And I know Gavin's had some wineries and stuff like that, but he ran San Francisco into the ground. So anyway, John Cox is a business guy. He's run a successful business for a long time, about 40 years, made a fortune doing that. And, I think he would do great. So let's, and when there's other people running, ton of people running, and we'll take some questions here. So a lot of people already have announced, you got Major Williams, who's a conservative candidate, maybe too conservative for California. You got Kevin Falconer, the former mayor of San Diego, who is kind of a centrist candidate as well, and was mayor twice there. So, he might do a good job. Then you got YouTuber Meet Kevin. If you guys watch Meet Kevin's channel, it's a good YouTube channel. Talks about stocks, investing. Used to talk about stimulus, things like that. So he is kind of quasi-announced that he's running. I actually don't think he will end up running because, or maybe he will, but he just won't take a side, which is really hard to do. Kevin, if you watch his videos, is very middle of the road. He doesn't want to pick a side, doesn't want to offend his subscribers, which is totally fine. But if you run for political office, you kind of have to give your take, and it's got to usually be polarizing. So those are kind of the first batch of candidates, I will say. But I think, guys, this is just going to get so crazy. It's going to be a total circus, and so many people are going to join the fray. So let's take some questions. First one we got. So, but by the way, Heather Cliff, thank you for saying DB for governor. I appreciate that. I will give you an applause. So, and the answer is, again, I really just don't know. That was a weak applause. Better one. There we go. The answer is, do I really want to be part of that circus? I don't know. So, James, let's take the next question. James says, who do you think would be the best governor, Caitlyn Jenner or San Diego mayor? So, like I said, I will tell you, of all the people that are running right now, I really like John Cox a lot. I do like Kevin. I mean, I've met Kevin. He's got good ideas. He just put out a really nice video with a whole detailed plan on everything. I think it's a good plan, actually, in most cases. But I like John Cox a lot. The Beast. He just had a campaign event with a bear. I think he's great. I think, listen, anyone that's run a successful business in California, of all places, I think deserves a shot to run the state. I mean, that's like, hey, if you run a multi-million-dollar business, you can run a multi-million-dollar state, I would think, with some common sense approaches. So great question, James. Heather Cliff, do you think even if a Republican gets in, will he or she be able to accomplish much since the one party is still ruling the state? I'm going to give you a round of applause for that question, because this is what I've been saying for a while, guys, and this is why I think California is in so much trouble. By the way, guys, let me give you a sneak peek. Right after this live, I am going to release a video on the channel about a financial crisis in California that not a lot of people are talking about. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but check out that video right after this live is over. So, Heather Cliff, I've been talking about this for a while. Here's the problem. Up and down the state, up and down the roster in politics in California, it is so one-sided. I mean, the supermajority, if you will, is progressive at this point, progressive Democrats, from the Attorney General to the, DAs to, you name it. So, the answer to that question, in my opinion, is that no, I don't think a Republican is going to be able to accomplish much. I think a centrist candidate, maybe slightly left, maybe slightly right, might be able to accomplish a couple of things potentially, but it's going to be a long road. It's going to be an uphill battle to get anything done in this state, because all of the unions, the teachers' unions, all of the special interest groups, all contribute to these guys that want to pass progressive policies that favor the unions and the special interest groups. So a Republican governor, even if elected through the recall, and remember, guys, the recall is only to finish out Gavin's term, which ends next year anyway. So you're talking about a year, basically a year audition, then we got to run again. So whoever gets into office has, less than a year to really prove themselves and show that they should then get reelected for another term. So that's the issue. Heather Cliff, I wish Cox had more gusto every time I hear him speak. He's a bit sleepish. Yeah, so I totally agree. And by the way, if you guys don't know who we're talking about, let me pull this up on the screen. I'll show you guys with the screen share. I agree with you, and that's the issue with John Cox, and I think that's why he lost to Gavin the first time, is because Gavin's this, personality, looks very California, very tech, very San Francisco, ran that city into the ground. Why not try the state? So John Cox, just not as exciting, right? Not as exciting. But the thing is, who cares? We're not, this isn't a contest for the most exciting speaker. This is really someone who can run the state, and John Cox has done that. So I like him, to be honest. I think that's what's going to hold him back. Now, maybe this PR campaign and this PR firm that he got, let me move myself over a little, that he got that is shaking things up for him, maybe that'll do it. Who knows? So good stuff. Good stuff, Heather Cliff. Hey, Ray Studios, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for all those super chats last time. Hold on, let me make sure these settings are right. Something is up because I can't hear. There we go. Output. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now I should be able to hear what I'm doing. Let's try applause again. There we go. Okay, cool. And I want to make sure you guys can hear me. Hey, can you guys hear me? Because I had to switch one setting there to make sure it was all set up right. If you can hear me, can you either give me a thumbs up or put it in the chat box? Let's go back to this view. Okay, so if you can hear me, throw it in the chat box. Just say hello. Just say hello. Okay, so let's talk questions, comments. So Ray, again, let's try that again. Thank you so much for being on. Appreciate you and appreciate the super chats last time for sure. Okay, I think we did get, okay, great. You guys can hear me. Perfect. So Ray Studios, question is, will I ever run for political office of any kind? Okay, so guys, I thought about it. I've given it a lot of thought here for California. My challenge with California, I'd love to fight this thing and really see if we can make a difference. My challenge is this recall election is going to be such a circus. And at the end of the day, I think there's a couple things that are going to win it. Number one, like with all political campaigns, you need the money, baby. You need the money. I don't have a thing for money, but something like this. So you need a lot of money for this campaign. And these guys have already all started raising tons of money. John Cox, put like $6 million of his own money in the last campaign. Who knows how much he's going to spend this time? Is that really something that I want to do? I'm having a lot of fun. I coach real estate agents. I run a successful real estate business, all in different real estate areas. I have 3 kids. One of them's over here, Baron, who's been on my videos. He wants to come say hi to you guys. Baron, come say hello.
I wasn't sure if I should to come in live because I know you said that I could.
Well, why not? Come say hello.
I came and I came upstairs. I didn't see the chair here, so I didn't.
You gotta look right there.
Yeah. So
Baron, say hi to everyone.
Hi.
So this is one of them. So all right, Baron, go for it. We're talking politics. You're not interested in this stuff.
I am actually.
Oh, you are? All right, come on back in then. So Baron, who is interested in politics, he actually is. I have 3 kids, like doing all this stuff. Do I really want to like get myself involved in this nonsense? It's kind of fun talking about it. But Ray Studios, the answer is I would totally do it. I just don't know if I'd want to do it in California because, like we talked about earlier, it's just such a one-party state that it's like, do I really want to like fight this uphill battle that I believe because of everyone else in office that is so one-sided? I just don't know that we can really turn California around the way we would like to. I don't know if we're going to get anything done. I honestly do not know if a Republican governor would get anything done. So, okay, let's keep going. Let's take some questions. Denise, thanks for being on. Denise says, is there someone that will cut taxes? That's the one we need. Yes, huge round of applause, Denise. Great comment. So, a lot of the candidates on the Republican side want to cut taxes. And by the way, guys, I mentioned earlier, right after this live, I'm going to release a video about a financial crisis in California that I think is really going to doom the state. And that crisis, all right, I'm going to tell you guys what it is. So get in a little closer. Baron, come in a little closer. I'm going to tell you guys what it is. So there is an unfunded pension crisis in California that most people either don't know about or they don't fully understand. I didn't fully understand it until I started researching it. And guys, this unfunded pension crisis is going to absolutely kill the state. It's going to cause bankruptcies of cities and municipalities all over the state. And so back to Denise, your question about who's going to cut taxes. The Democrats keep raising taxes or keep wanting to raise taxes because they got to fund these pensions somehow, and they know it. And so all of these school taxes, all these other taxes that they keep introducing are really just a way of doing that, of adding revenue when really they should be cutting expenses. And that they're not focused on that. The Republicans focus on that. The problem is special interest groups, the unions, don't really support the Republicans because they don't push their agenda. They want the guys and the ladies that are just going to push their agenda. So, quick timeout for station identification, as they say on Laker games. What's up, you guys? Thank you all for being on. Round of applause for all of you guys. All right, Ben, go hang out and do your thing. Thanks for being on. Say bye to everyone. Just from you.
Bye.
All right,
also,
go.
If you guys are wondering why I pointed to myself, it's because I can be the governor.
Yeah, he can be the governor.
Because this is the state I was born in.
No, you don't have to be born here. You only have to be born in the U.S. for president.
Well, anyways, I could be a president and a governor.
You could be president. I can't be president. You know why?
Yeah.
I wasn't born here.
Actually, it's a really confusing story that we don't need to tell right now, but it's a very confusing story. Yeah,
we'll tell it later. All right, go play. It's Saturday morning. Go have fun. That was Baron. That was my youngest. So that's the deal. So Denise, to answer your question, it's a great question. I think a lot of the candidates on the right side of things want to cut taxes. If you look at, like I said, Meet Kevin has a great video with a whole plan that's really cool. And part of his plan is to cut the state income tax, I think, to zero. Chamath, who's a guy who I don't know if he's running for sure, venture capitalist from the Bay Area. He wanted to do a 0% state income tax. I know Major Williams wants to cut taxes. I don't really know. Well, we can probably look at John Cox's plan. I mean, if we look at his website, let's go there together. Let's check it out. So here it is. So yeah, see, Denise, there you go. John Cox. So his first thing, slash taxes. California taxes are so high they are unbearable. Little play on words there. He's really going all in on this bear theme, huh? Let's grab some water while we read this. Make California more affordable. Address homelessness. Open our schools. Reopen our economy. Lower the cost of energy. Make it more reliable. So all good things, right? All good things. But, like you guys said, he's kind of sleepy. We can look at other ones. So let's look just for fun, since we're doing this. Let's look at Caitlyn Jenner's proposals. So here we go. Solutions. Everyone's got the same tab. Solutions. Cutting regulations. That's good. Leading the COVID recovery. Whatever. Addressing the affordable housing and homeless crisis. Putting a stop to new and higher taxes. So Denise, I think all of these candidates are basically running on very similar platforms. If we look at Major Williams, let's go there and check his out. Nope, that's not his. Major Williams, governor. Okay, let's check out his page, guys. And I do want to thank all of you guys for being on. I really appreciate it on a Saturday. So here, Restore California plan. This pop-up is driving me nuts. Okay, taxes. Eliminate the state tax. Impose a tourist tax. I don't know what a tourist tax means. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Budget, balance the budget. Homeless crisis. Businesses. So, Major Williams, on his website at least, not as robust and exciting as some of the other candidates. And like I said, Meet Kevin's got a whole plan. The Chamath has a plan that he put out, but I don't know if he's actually running. So as you could see, most people's plans do involve lowering taxes. I mean, look, guys, if I were, let me answer this way. If I were running for governor, the solution in California, I think, is pretty darn simple. I mean, you have the best state, literally, in terms of geography, nature, topography, weather. All of those things are here. So attracting people here, I mean, California has had to try really hard to have people leave. And people are leaving, by the way. I posted on my Instagram yesterday. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, please do. Link is in the description or bio. But I posted on my Instagram. Let me tell you exactly what it was. So annual population change. You know what? I think I can actually plug this in and show you guys. Let me show you guys this chart. Hold on. I just got to plug the cord in, and then I think I can show you guys this chart real quick. All right. Let's try this. See if this works. I'm going to show you guys the population chart, which to me is just madness, right? Like, if you have a state like California that's got so much natural attraction for people to want to come, you have to work really hard to have people leave, and they've done that, So, oh, here it is. Okay, let me show you guys this chart. Okay, so here's the chart that I posted on my Instagram yesterday. So check this out, you guys. So annual population change. For the first time, I think in 170 years, the population of California shrank by over 180,000 people. Guys, that's net loss. That's not 180,000 people left. That's net 180,000 people left. So, a bunch of people came, but way more people left for the first time ever. And this is why California lost a seat in the House of Representatives. On my last video, I said Senate. I meant House, or I meant Congress. Sorry about that. So California lost a seat in the House of Representatives. We're going to lose electoral college votes. This is the first time. And check this out, guys. I mean, for the last, since 2011, we were running a surplus. People are coming here. It's a lot, right? We had, let's see, 316,000, somewhere above 300,000 here every time. And then all of a sudden, you see it shrinking. And this is, since 2016, you've seen it start to shrink. Now, listen, Gavin's been in office since 2018. Can't blame the 2 years before him on that. The guy before him sucked too. But now it's really escalating and really getting worse. So that is a crazy chart of the population loss in California. So anyway, back to what I was saying is that, fixing California is actually very easy. Like, if you could get all of the progressive left out of your way and you could just implement some really good changes. Now I probably sound like them. How about we say, if we could get everyone in the middle and we could implement some really good changes, you got the weather, you got the sunshine, you got the sports, you got the world champion Lakers and Dodgers down in Southern California. Northern California's got all the tech. We got Central California, which is beautiful. There are so many amazing things about California. All you got to do is not F it up which they've done. And so the solutions here for me would be very easy. I mean, I would get rid of the state income tax, or at least lower it to a reasonable number, right? You probably don't even have to get rid of it entirely, but just lower it to a reasonable number where people aren't trying to get out of here, and stop with the new taxes. Like, stop introducing new taxes. But here's the big one. Here's the big one. And I will take some of these questions, which we got some really good ones here. So the big one is you got to make the state business friendly. If you make the state business friendly and people want to come here, they want to start businesses, that's how you get growth, right? So I'm going to talk about two things. California is on, when you take the list of the most business friendly states, California is always like 49th or 50th. I could show that to you. And so if the state is not business friendly because of overregulation, because of high taxes, because of how hard it is to have employees here, because of stupid bills like AB 5, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can Google California AB 5 by a ridiculous legislator up north. And you get rid of all these things and you make the state easy to do business in, friendly. I mean, this is what Texas and Florida are doing, and they're recruiting Texas, Florida, Tennessee. They're recruiting all the companies out of California. And guys, it's hard to recruit people out of California. I mean, this is like the best place to be. So if people are leaving, then California is doing something right. These other states are doing, California is doing something very wrong. The other states are doing some stuff very right. Okay, let's chat. Let's grab some questions here. So, hey, Jason, how are you, my friend? Thank you for being on. I really appreciate you. So Jason says, Gavin got a $3+ million house as a bonus for his great work, and his salary is how much? It's all fraud, and $250 million is special interest money. We probably can't say the F word on YouTube or they'll demonetize us or something, so we'll stay away from that. Gavin did have some successful businesses before he got into politics. I don't know how, because he's run every area that he's been in politics on into the ground. But if you guys saw my video, I did a video on behested payments. It's pretty crazy how much money corporations donated to causes that Gavin wanted them to donate to, and in return they got a lot of no-bid contracts and a lot of favorable treatment in Sacramento. Imagine that. Okay, Heather says, I believe Chamath backed out. He said he thinks he'd get more things done without the restrictions of being governor. Yeah, I think that's true, Heather. I think you're right. I think that is what happened. But he had a good plan too. He's a venture capitalist from Northern California. I like him a lot too. He would have been great. And let's put this up. Ray Studios, they're not after me, they're after you. I'm just in the way. Yeah, that was a great line by Trump, huh? That was a great line for sure. Do you guys think Trump's going to run in 2024? I'm curious. Throw it in the chat box. What do you guys think? He did an interview with Candace Owens. It was pretty interesting, where he kind of hinted that he would, but who knows? Let's take some more comments. So Jason says, let's see if I can put this one up. I think it was still okay. Denise says that's true. 18,000 businesses left California after COVID-19. Listen, it's impossible to do business in California as it is. Then you add on top of that, the COVID restrictions and all the nonsense here with things closed, with all the dining restrictions and all that stuff. It's crazy. And that is what James says as well. So James says they don't care about the businesses in the state. All they care about is lining their pockets. Yeah, they don't care about clearly they don't care about the businesses in California. I mean, look, if they cared, then they wouldn't be shutting things down. They wouldn't be imposing all of these ridiculous regulations and restrictions. And by the way, what happens, and I talk about it on a lot of my videos, is as the tax basis shrinks, because people are, wealthy people are smart. And by the way, the top 1% of people usually pay a huge majority of the taxes. And so I hate when politicians say, make them pay their fair share. I mean, that's just stupidity. They already pay. The top 1% already pays, their fair share. Anyway, so as these people leave, the tax base shrinks. Think about this in terms of math. And then what happens is you, as a state, you have all these issues like the one I'm going to talk about on the video that's going to get released right after this at 10 a.m., and you have all these problems, then you're like, okay, well, we need to collect more revenue from somewhere. Let's just tax everyone who's left. And that's what California keeps doing. Well, as I showed you guys on the chart, there aren't going to be very many people to tax pretty soon as people keep leaving the state. So if you guys think that this was bad, let me show this to you guys one more time. I want you guys to look at this trend. So for a long time, plus about 300,000, right? Now look at this. Down, to 245, down to 189, down to 99. Basically break even, right? And then down 180. So 1,000, that is. So I want you guys to look at this trend. I mean, if this trend right here continues, California is in big, big trouble. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. I get so many comments where people say, well, let them leave. Good riddance. There's too many people in California. Let them go. Well, the problem is the people that are leaving are really not the people you want leaving. I mean, do you really want the world's richest man or second richest man, Elon Musk, leaving your state? Do you really want people like, for example, a Joe Rogan who runs a, multi-million dollar, hundreds of millions of dollars a year business leaving your state, taking taxes with him? A guy like Ben Shapiro took off from California, wanted nothing to do with it, took all his employees, took all of his tax revenue. And that's just a, very, very small sample size. How many companies have left? Charles Schwab, others. How many people, how many wealthy people have left? And so when you look at this chart, guys, I want you to realize, 180,000 people might not seem like a lot net loss when you think that the population of California is like 40 million. But that 180 could turn into 500,000 next year, could turn into minus 1 million the year after. And before you know it, your state is down like 10 or 20% population. So if we don't turn the thing around, this chart is not going to look very good in a couple of years. And I know some of the other naysayers will say, oh, this is COVID related, but it's not, because look at the trend. The trend is less people are coming than are leaving. I mean, if you look at this trend, it's pretty easy to see. So just wanted to point that out. Jason, thanks for all the comments right here. We got a lot of them. Okay, so to answer my question of will Trump run in 2024, you guys posted a lot of stuff. Neighborhood Cat Lady says no. Neighborhood Cat Lady says Kingmaker. Yes. So Kingmaker, you think he's going to anoint someone else, maybe like a Ron DeSantis, maybe. He's great. Just a Realtor says, yes, he will. And Ray Studio says, yes, he will. And Candace Owens will be his VP. Yeah, that was on her interview. It'll be interesting to see for sure. I'm very curious whether he's going to do it or if he's going to help someone else like a Ron DeSantis do it. So Denise says, I wouldn't be surprised if those donations, we're talking behested payments for Newsom, are made to nonprofits, whereas politicians have ties and benefit from. I wouldn't be surprised either. Okay, James says he'll run, but I don't think he'll win. So I'm going to tell you my thoughts in a second. Heather says Trump will wait to see what seats are flipped in 2022. That makes sense. Okay. So let's take some of these and then I'll tell you what I think. James says DeSantis should be president. Yeah, I really like DeSantis. Isn't he great? I mean, the guy's just like straight up. Like he tells you exactly what he's thinking, tells you what's up. It's similar to Trump, maybe not as abrasive for some. So maybe that works. I don't care about Trump's abrasiveness. It doesn't bother me at all. But some people were very offended. DeSantis, in kind of a similar vein, straight up guy, straight shooter, doing a great job in Florida, common sense guy. And by the way, he knows his stuff. I mean, he does the research, he knows the science, he knows the data. He actually talks about it, unlike Newsom that just says, we follow the science and then doesn't. So, Just a Realtor says, I heard that many blue states might turn red because the people know that they aren't getting things done as well and vote for Republicans. I sure hope so. I mean, I don't know why people don't realize this. I don't get it. I do understand that if you watch certain networks in the mainstream media, like let's say CNN, it just becomes an echo chamber and you start believing this stuff. But I don't understand how a common sense person doesn't put these two things together. Well, we've been voting for these progressive policies in California for 20 years, and guess what? They don't work. We got millions of, hundreds of thousands of homeless people on the streets. We have, I didn't want to do a Joe Biden gaffe there. We got tons of homeless people on the streets. Businesses are leaving. People don't want to be subjected to this nonsense. Maybe these things don't work. Maybe we need to change who we vote for. People don't put those two together. I don't personally get it. I don't know. Maybe someone can explain it to me. So pretty crazy. So Ray, you've put up a couple questions that since I'm on the YouTube platform, I can't really touch, and I won't put them up, but they have to do with the last election and my thoughts on what happened. Suffice it to say that I agree with a lot of the things that Trump has claimed. I watched the results. I watched the election the night of. We stayed up late and we watched it. And there were some, how do we put this nicely? Irregularities, statistical anomalies. Maybe that's a nice way of putting it. I mean, some things that just didn't make a lot of sense. Let's say that. And so that, YouTube doesn't ban us or anything. We don't want to actually use some of the words, but there were some crazy things. Okay, let's keep going with our questions here. Ray Studio says, Danny, you should do a video on what if Texas secedes from the Union. That'd actually make an interesting video. Okay, you got it. Let me give you some applause. We'll put it on our video content list. That's an interesting topic. I mean, it's been talked about in Texas for sure. Okay, Denise says, I don't care about fair and rational taxation. My problem is giving these politicians more money and higher taxes is not going to make them more competent. Denise, 1,000%. So thank you for saying that. So, to me, when I look at taxes, right? So I'm a business guy, and so when I look at a state or a city, anything really just a business when it comes down to it, right? And so when you look at the business, there are two, if you know basic business, basic economics, if you look at business, there are two components to this thing. There's the revenue and then there's the expenses. And so if you raise taxes, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to raise more revenue because you need more money. But what you're also saying in the same way is that you're saying to people, hey, we will do a better job with that money than you will. Ultimately, that's what you're saying. So if you, like, for example, what Biden's doing now on a national level by raising taxes by a ton is he's saying, hey, trust us, we, the government, can do a lot more with that money than you can and then the private sector can. I don't believe that to be the case. It's never been proven true. If you look at countries, if you look at the rise and fall of many countries, a lot of times, it's because they started centralizing everything. Perfect example I have for you is my family. My family comes from Russia, former Soviet Union. I was born there, came here when I was 3. When I was born there, it was communism. Everything was run by the state. What was the end result of that? Food shortages. You probably saw it in movies, toilet paper shortages, goods, not enough goods. And that all stemmed from, a socialist, Marxist, communist regime taking over, which in the beginning always sounds great, right? Hey, free shit for everyone, okay? That sounds awesome when you talk about it, but when you implement it, there's sacrifices to be made. And that's what, people don't understand. And so yeah, that's the issue with these taxes. And so when you start raising taxes and you start saying that the government can do a better job than the private sector, you run into a lot of problems. Great comment, Denise. So, Just a Realtor, things why I love my state of Texas. All right, Just a Realtor's in Texas. Hello. No more masks. Yes, we got guns and steak. I love that comment. And James is in. Oh, James, you're in New York, man. I'm not a huge fan of New York. We have some family in the Russian part of New York, Borough Park and Brighton Beach. There you go. And a lot of them have left. So yeah, not the best place for sure. We're still talking politics. Who's going to run? Ray Studio says that DeSantis is a younger version of Trump. Yeah, it kind of looks like it. Very similar style. DeSantis and Owens seems to be getting a huge huge push here from our community. So thank you for that. And then James says, it's the media. They paint Republicans as bad. I used to believe them until I started watching other networks. Yeah, it's for sure the media. The mainstream media, I think, is probably the biggest issue in the U.S. because they're not objective anymore. If you guys remember, we probably span all ranges here, but if you recall, the media used to be objective. Like they used to just tell you the story and let you decide how you want to interpret the story. That's objective journalism, in my opinion. If they do an opinion piece, that's different. But I'm just talking about straight news, okay? Like, here's what happened. Here's what Trump said. You figure it out. Here's what Biden said. You decide. Well, I think that, in the, I'll call it the TMZ era, where, it just became about ratings, these networks, the mainstream media, objective journalism just went out the window because that doesn't get you ratings. And to get ratings, you have to be sensational. You have to put up huge headlines and photos. And, the crazier you are and the more wild your opinions, the more ratings you're going to get. And so now what you get from the networks, the mainstream media, is really just their opinion, their propaganda. And CNN, I mean, listen, whether you like CNN or you don't like CNN, you have to agree that CNN is essentially just a propaganda arm for the left. I mean, that's all they are. I try to watch it sometimes just to I try to get other points of view. I mean, listen, I don't pretend to know everything. I want to know what other people are saying. But to me, it's unwatchable. I mean, a lot of the networks are very similar. So, what I like to do personally, and what I always recommend to everyone, young people, everyone who asks me, is just go read the story. Like, go read what happened. Go read what the person said. And then make up your own mind, okay? I think a perfect example of this, I will say, is the January 6th event. I'm not going to say what it is. I don't know. YouTube is very sensitive to certain topics. But, if you just go back and read the speech that Trump gave and just read the words, I don't know how you get from those words to, he incited violence. So, my take is, don't watch that nonsense and just go read the story for yourself, make up your own mind. I mean, this is my whole, I'm not going to switch topics on you guys, but this is my whole issue with what the schools are doing, where they're, where they're indoctrinating the kids and where they're taking on all of these topics that teach the kids what to think instead of just teaching them how to think, right? So for kids, these things are really bad. I mean, you shouldn't be telling kids what they should be thinking, what they should be doing, what things they should become an activist on. No, tell them the situation, let them decide how to believe or how to interpret it or where to go with that. So anyhow, that's my take on that. Okay, so question from, let's see, fiber optic. Oh, I got it, fiber optic. How likely is Congress to repeal the SALT tax deductions enacted by the Trump administration? For those of you guys who don't know what that is, great question. We'll give a round of applause. So, for those of you who don't know what that is, the SALT tax deductions are, you can basically deduct your state and local tax, SALT, on your federal tax return, so you get essentially a tax break. When Trump switched around the tax stuff in 2017, I think, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, or whatever it was called. He basically got rid of a lot of that or minimized it. The funny part about Trump, I'm going to do a slight segue, so fiber optic. The funny part about Trump's tax cuts are that for a lot of my friends, and maybe even me, didn't really help us. So a lot of people will walk around saying, oh, Trump, gave all these tax breaks to the rich and to the top 1%, all this stuff. I got to tell you, not really. And it's fine. The thing about, I think, the thing about successful people is that they're fine paying, at least successful people I know, they're fine paying taxes as long as you get value in return. So if you raise my taxes and I pay you more, but I get a ton of value back, okay. If you raise my taxes and then I gotta drive down the street with my kids and see homeless encampments on every street corner, then I'm like, no. I want that money back. Why am I paying you for nothing? That's why people leave. Okay, so it's a very interesting formula there. Fiber optic, to answer your questions, yeah, I think they will. I think as part of the new tax plan, I definitely think that they will do that. Great question. Ray, I already talked about this. Do a video on what happens if Texas secedes. Yeah. And yes, neighborhood cat lady, exactly. So that's what we talked about. James, you should also do a video on pros and cons of leaving California and moving to Texas and Florida. Yeah, that's a good one. So we are definitely going to do that one. Pros and cons of leaving California. A lot of people have asked for that. So that is definitely something we're going to do. In fact, I am going to write that down right now so that I don't forget, since my YouTube manager is not available today. Well, she might be watching. I don't know. Pros and cons of leaving California. I've had a lot of people ask for that video, so you got it. Stay tuned. That video will come your way soon. And then Ray asked us a funny one. You find it curious that California has been a blue state since the OJ trial. Yeah, you know. California, Jennifer, welcome to the show here. Thanks for being on with us. California is becoming more dangerous by the day. Well, that's because, especially in Southern California, you know that we elected, well, I won't say we elected, maybe I'll say George Soros elected this DA by the name of George Gascon. And this guy is the absolute worst. He ruined San Francisco also. You know, it's funny, like we take all these people in San Francisco that do a terrible job and then we're like, hey, here's a thought. Let's have them run LA. I mean, or let's have them run California. Like, what is this? It makes no sense. Anyway, George Gascon basically came into office. He wants to just like say, hey, nothing's a crime. I mean, it's craziness in LA. You know, you can, in California, I think you can steal like up to, or in LA maybe, you could steal up to like $1,000, under $1,000 worth of stuff. It's like not even a crime. It's madness. So yeah, that's LA for you. And that's why crime is going up. You know, crime is going up because we have DAs like Gascon who don't want to prosecute anything. Nothing's a crime. Let's, you know, lower the number of police we have. Sorry, fixing my chair. And all of this kind of stuff. It doesn't make sense. Okay, let's see. Jason thinks that Kim Kardashian will be will be our president. That would be crazy. And yeah, CNN, I mean, back to that, like, I mean, it's just crazy, you know, crazy. And then Ray, I can't put that comment up because again, I don't want to mess with the YouTube thing, but yeah, like back to like what I said about, you know, going and looking at the story yourself. Like and I don't care who it is, you know, whether it's OAN or Fox or Newsmax or whoever, like, you know, go read the story, whoever you are. And I tell my kids this all the time, like, go read the story, and then I want to know what you think about the story. I don't want to know what CNN or Fox News or whoever thinks about the story. Now, I watch some of that stuff just because, you know, I like to see what they're talking about. But when I watch it, honestly, like I watch it more like it's a show, like it's entertainment, not informational, because it's not. It's their take on it, right? James, let's talk about this school thing, man, because this school thing for me is a hot topic. I'm going to give you a round of applause for that. So let's talk about the school situation. So James says, I'm in grad school and they're constantly trying to indoctrinate me. I'm going to tell you guys a funny story of how far we've come with this education stuff. I went to law school and I was an attorney for a couple of years before I got into real estate. And I went to Pepperdine Law School in Malibu, beautiful Malibu, California, if you guys are familiar with it. And I remember we were in class and the fire alarm went off. And one of the teachers said, uh-oh, they found a Democrat at the school. Now, if a teacher said that today, first of all, they might get booed. And second of all, they probably get fired. It's madness, right? But yeah, the whole school indoctrination thing, I think, is a huge issue. But I will tell you, the Democrats on this are playing the long game. You know, they're thinking, hey, if we indoctrinate these kids starting in kindergarten when they don't really know what they're learning, by the time they're, you know, teenagers, by the time they're in college, by the time they come out of college, they're going to be, I'm going to give you guys a political term, useful idiots. And it doesn't mean what you think it means. It doesn't mean idiot at all. It actually means useful idiot, which is a political term from back in the day of people that will do your bidding. And that's really what this whole school indoctrination thing is about. James, what are you studying, and where do you go to school? I'd love to hear about that. Let me know in the chat there. But it's a real problem. And I will tell you, we had this issue at my kids' school where, they're trying to introduce all this curricula that is very biased, very one-sided. And my whole thing, and I talked to the school about this, is listen, show them what to think, or show them how to think, teach them how to think. If you want to present both sides of an argument, feel free. But you better not take a position on it. You better not take a side. Let the kids decide what they prefer. And, this stuff kind of used to be very hush hush behind the scenes, like no one would talk about it. And then all of a sudden, now it's just out in the open, this is all fine. We can just tell you, what to think and how to believe on certain issues. It's not right. And by the way, guys, if any of you are watching this or listening to this are parents, I would highly, highly, highly encourage you, and this isn't something I used to do, highly, highly encourage you to check your kids' curriculum at your school wherever you are, because this stuff is being put into schools without really you even knowing. I mean, at my kids' school, for example, they put this nonsense in. They didn't even tell anyone. Well, they told the kids. It was in an assembly on a slide. We had to dig, and then we found it. And it seems innocent at first, right? So they will tell you, oh, what's the big deal? Read it. It's all just about, being nice to everyone and being tolerant and all this stuff. If you start reading this curriculum, guys, you will be shocked, because it does start out innocent, and then slowly but surely, by the time these kids are a little bit older, they want them to be civil activists and all this other craziness. So be very careful with your kids' education. It's not, again, I used to believe, hey, I'll send my kids to school. They're learning math and English. Not anymore. Now they're trying to teach them all these social things that I feel don't belong in school. Listen, if I want my kid to be a social activist, I'll send them somewhere else. That's not what I want out of my school. I want math, I want English, I want social studies, I want, sports. That's what I want. For me, personally, might be different for you, right? But just all I'm saying is, regardless of where you sit on this, and regardless of what your thoughts and ideas are, make sure that you're paying attention to what your kids are learning. James said, I study architecture. Cool, man. You got to come out to fun parts and build some cool stuff. Heather asked earlier, do you think Garcetti will take the ambassador to India job? I don't know. I mean, it seems like the whole Biden-Newsom formula is, when someone really sucks at their job, let's give them a promotion. And that's what they do for people like the new Attorney General in California, Rob Bonta, who is a terrible legislator. All his proposals are awful. Let's make him Attorney General. Garcetti's doing a terrible job in LA. Homelessness is up. Crime is up. Let's give him a higher position. Let's promote him. I mean, it's like you would never run a business this way. Well, you would, but you'd be out of business. But the federal government can. Neighborhood Cat Lady, how can Biden be doing all these funding bills that are discriminatory against whites? All in the name of equity. Neighborhood Cat Lady, equity is the new term. What does equity actually mean? It used to be equality, and then they changed the term to equity. My wife's going to kill me for talking about this topic. She always tells me, don't touch the race topics. But my whole belief on this is that we are in, and again, I'm not from here. I came from a different country. This is the best country in the world. It's the most fair country in the world. It's the least racist country in the world. Are there racists here? Of course. They're everywhere. Are there people that discriminate? I'm sure there are. But by and large, by far, this is the best country. It's the least racist. I don't think race is an issue in 99.9% of situations. But the media wants to inject race into everything. Why? Because it gets them ratings. Right? Politicians want to inject race into everything. Why? Because they prey on people's victim mentality. And what I mean by that is, if a politician, and the left does this really well. So what they say is that they will say, hey, that situation you're in your life, how, maybe you don't have a job, or maybe you're not where you want to be. it's not your fault. It's that guy's fault, okay? Or it's those people's fault from 200 years ago. But if you elect me, I will fix it for you. I'll give you some free stuff. I'll give you some money. I'll pass some things to help you out. And so elect me and I will fix it. That's basically the proposition of the left. It's not really to have a sustainable plan because they don't want to fix the problem. Because guess what, guys? If that person that you just elected fixes the problem, well, then you don't need them anymore, right? And the whole philosophy of the right, and I'm not telling you which way to think or which way to vote, I just want you to understand the issues. Philosophy of the right is we should have a small government. You should decide. You should be accountable for your own actions. You need to make it happen for yourself. Are some programs necessary? Sure. But what are all of these things that the government's doing necessary? Not at all. And the left wants big government because of that. They want to prey on that victim mentality. So Neighborhood Cat Lady, answer to the question is sadly that he's preying on the victim mentality, the fact that these media companies need ratings and all this kind of stuff. So fiber optic, the left is attempting to, okay, we're talking about real estate now. The left is well, we're having such a good time, guys. I was planning on going for an hour and then releasing this video that I talked about earlier, which is going to be about a California crisis that you need to know about. But since we're having so much fun, let's just keep rolling. So the left is attempting to ultimately eliminate home ownership. This is a topic, of course, near and dear to my heart since I'm in real estate. They want government housing in multifamily dwellings like cities with integrated races. So by the way, speaking of real estate, guys, shameless plug, I started a separate YouTube channel just for real estate. It's called Real Estate Simplified. It's in the description. Would appreciate if you guys follow me there. If you're interested in real estate, that channel is going to be only real estate, nothing else. It will help you out with real estate topics. So yeah, fiber optic, look, ultimately, if you look at the left and their progression, okay, it's happened in history before. The progression is, Marxism, socialism, communism. That's what they want, okay? And the fundamentals of those systems, which always fail, by the way, always fail. Hey, take a look at Russia, where I was born. The fundamentals of that are to take away, individual liberties, have everyone have groupthink and think the same, think 1984, right? Have everyone obey the government, centralize everything, take away private ownership of, land, take away the guns. These are all things that have happened in history before, guys. These are not new things. And, if the U.S. goes down that path, and this is not a conspiracy theorist at all, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if the U.S. goes down that path, it's really hard to recover from that because people start to buy in that there's this better way. Well, we have the best way. The U.S. system is the best. We don't need to tear it down and start over. Can we improve some stuff? Sure, but we don't need to tear it down and start over. Jason says that in California, let's put this up, in California, you'll need to be vaxxed to go to school, work, grocery store, Apple. Yes, passports are not only for the outside borders anymore, socials. Yeah, so I'm sure that's coming to California. It's not coming to other states. Florida, they said no. Texas isn't going to do it. Basically red states. And guys, this is why people from blue states are moving to places like red, places that are red, like Texas and Florida. Maybe I've been talking too long and I'm mumbling. That's why this is happening. I showed you the chart before. I can show it to you one more time for anyone new that's jumped on. Look at this. This is what's going on in California. People are leaving. Tons of people are leaving. And the reason that they're leaving is nonsense like this. And here's what I don't get about, maybe I can't even use that word, I'll use it once, the vaccine. What I don't get about that is I don't care whether you decide to get it or not. It affects me in zero ways. Whether I decide to get it or not shouldn't matter to you. Because if you did decide to get it, then what do you care whether I have it or not? I don't understand this mentality. I really don't. It makes no common sense to me. We don't go around asking people if they got the flu shot. We don't go around asking people if they got the measles vaccine. This makes zero sense. By the way, all for something that's got a, 99.98% survival rate for most people. Doesn't make much sense to me. But hey, this whole last year didn't make sense to me. So Heather Cliff says, okay, back to schools. Public schools are teaching groupthink activism now. Is it any wonder why most under 25 can't think rationally or for themselves? Yes, 100% agree with you. That is the problem. Instead of teaching people how to think, they are teaching people what to think, or I should say kids. And that, guys, is a huge, huge problem. And again, if you're a parent, if you know parents, I think this is one of the biggest issues that's going to affect the U.S. Donald Trump passed something to make a patriotic education, and that, Biden, one of his first things was to get rid of that. In a lot of places, like I'm in California, and this critical race theory and all this other nonsense is being pushed into the schools. I am happy to see that in a lot of places, especially in red states, they are shutting this stuff down. In South Lake, which is a community in Texas, they just had a vote, and they voted 70-30 against all of this crap. Look, if you have kids, you got to think about where you want to raise your kids. That's what we're thinking about personally right now as we decide where our kids are going to go to school next year. And, places like Texas and Florida and such cities that are fighting back against this crap are very attractive. And by the way, the interesting thing for me is on a personal note, I grew up and went to school in such a diverse school. And we never, growing up, we never looked at people as different races. Just looked at them as people. Like, hey, either you're cool and I want to hang out with you, or I don't. I didn't care whether you're Asian or Indian or Armenian or black or white. It never mattered. And I think most people, I would say 99% of people are like that. They don't care. And what the media has done and what the left has done is basically introduce race into everything. And I think it's a huge mistake. I think it's something that has set back race relations for all of us. And I also think it's something that that will come back to bite a lot of people because it's not good for the country. Again, the media wants to divide us. The media thrives if we're all fighting. If everything is in harmony and everyone's happy, you have no reason to turn on the TV to CNN or Fox News or OANN or whatever it is, right? And so they fuel this divisiveness with what they're doing. So Jason said some people marginalize their own people for votes. That is for sure. That is for sure. James talks about, I won't put up the comment, but he's talking about, basically race relations and reparations and, what happened hundreds of years ago. Again, to me, guys, what I will say is what this kind of goes back to is the whole thing about, victim mentality versus accountability, right? So, I'm going to give you an example. I think it was yesterday, Governor DeSantis in Florida basically said, hey, enough is enough. If you've been on unemployment, go get a job, okay? That is accountability. That is saying, hey, take responsibility for yourself. Yes, we had a pandemic. Yes, we had a crazy year, but enough is enough. Everything is open. Go get a job, okay? That is accountability, guys. That's coming from the right. Now, you decide what's better. On the left, what you get, the kind of messaging you get is, it's not your fault. You are where you are, not because of you, but because of someone else. Because of the ancestors. Because of the way the country was founded. Because of something that, Abraham Lincoln did. Do you guys see the difference? One is accountability for your own actions and personal responsibility. One is a victim mentality. To me, those are really the two polarizing things with the parties. It's not the bills, it's not the taxes. It's the mindset difference, okay? And so that to me is what people have to decide. What mindset do you want to have? Do you want to have a victim mindset that it's not your fault, that someone else is to blame, that if only someone else would help you, you'd be fine? Or do you want to have an accountability mindset that, hey, it's up to me? And if I want to make it happen in my life, I got to make it happen. And, I've made, my family, we've made it happen. My parents came here with $300. That's why, like, whenever people say, oh, I grew up in a bad area, I grew up in a poor community, my parents did this, I always call bullshit on that, because my parents came here with $300 and didn't speak English. And, if they can make it, anyone can, right? They weren't educated here. They didn't have a college degree, and they both got, pretty high paying jobs, right away. They learned English. They bought a house within 3 years, I think, of coming to the U.S. And so it's like, when I remember that story, I know that anyone can make it here. We give people second chances and third chances and fifth chances. Everything in the U.S. is set up for you to succeed if you want to succeed. But if you just want to sit back and blame everyone else and talk about how it's everyone else's fault, then then that's the people that are voting for these types of politicians. So anyway, sorry, I stood up on a soapbox there for a while, but that was my speech for the Saturday morning. Okay, Heather Cliff, woke corporations are the worst. They literally use slave labor in China to make their goods, yet Democrats praise their wokeism. Yeah, it's all just like a nonsense show. It really is. It's all a show. It's all BS. I try not to pay attention to this too much. Okay. And Jason said, yes, I don't know if I could say that. Yeah, it is scary. It really is scary. But the reason I say that, guys, is because I want to keep talking to you. And so it's like, if you want to use these platforms, you got to make sure to follow the rules. Now, so again, I'm a business guy, okay? So part of me says, it's not fair, right? Like, we should be able to say whatever the hell we want, and YouTube and Facebook and Google should have no say in it. At the same time, they're private corporations, and so part of me, from the business perspective, does think, from a business perspective, you should be able to ban whoever you want. The catch is, here's the catch, Jason, and this is where I think the problem comes in. You can't pretend to be both things. You can't pretend to be a platform where people can share ideas and talk about stuff, but then police what it is they talk about, if that makes sense. You can't do both. If you're going to do both, then you have to be subject to all of the same rules, and you can't have the protections of the government that say that you're just a platform, because now you're a publisher. Now you're a news station. If you're limiting one side and then promulgating this other side, that is where I have a huge issue. And like you said, it is sad and it is scary, very scary, that only one message is really being pushed. So that is crazy. Heather Cliff, no accountability in their politics as well. They deflect and blame. This is why one-party rule is destroying our state. Yep, 100%. The political game is all about deflecting and blaming. It's not my fault. It's not your fault. It's someone else's fault. Again, I'm going to fix it for you. That is the name of the game for those people. Jason, that's funny, dude. You're a racist against redheads because your words are hurting my feelings. My mom's a redhead. I love redheads. Although I will tell you, when we had kids, it was funny. My wife and I, when we had kids, my mom has like curly red hair, and she always used to complain, still complains about like how annoying it is to comb it and all this. And my wife has straight hair, and so we were like, please, like, no red curly hair when our kids, and they didn't. None of them had red curly hair. Which is pretty funny. Not because it looks bad, but because they said that it's annoying. So I got much love for redheads, Jason. That's so funny. So guys, it's an exciting time. Wherever you are, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Again, what I wanted to say here is, right after this live, which is coming to an end, we went about 10 minutes over, but this is fun. I want to thank all of you guys for being on. I am going to release a video about a huge crisis, financial crisis in California that is going to cause the state to go bankrupt. I pretty much guarantee it. Unless they turn it around, unless they make some changes, there's going to be some big problems in California. So stay tuned. You're going to get the notification if you're subscribed. Watch that video, share it. I think it's a really important topic that no one is talking about. Jason, thank you so much for that comment. Who's grateful for me. I am grateful for you guys. Without you, there's really nothing to do on the platform. So really, thank you guys so much for being on. And let's leave with this. This is a good quote from Fiber Optic. Continued dependency upon relief induces a spiritual and moral decay harmful to the American fiber, said by the Democrat FDR. But back then, Democrats were totally different than they are now. James said, great video. Thank you so much. And yes, get ready for the circus for sure. And a big thanks from Neighborhood Cat Lady. All right, guys. Hey, have a fantastic weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all of you guys out there, and happy Mother's Day to your moms. Make sure you wish your mom a happy Mother's Day tomorrow. Enjoy whatever it is you're doing. Thank you guys for subscribing and for supporting the channel. I really, really do appreciate it. If you're into real estate, follow my other channel, Real Estate Simplified, and give me about 5 minutes, and that new video is going to be released right here, all about the California financial crisis. Thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend, everyone.